That is awesome. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Rat Boy Homestead. Today is an exciting day. Today is the day we are going to be fixing something on this fish house that has been driving me nuts since we got it and started using it last winter. And that is we're going to be installing LED wraparound lighting. So before we bought this fish house, we had a 2016 Yeti. Ended up selling that to get my business going. But anyway, one thing it had that I miss is wraparound LED lighting for setting up at night. With ice fishing, it gets dark at 4 o'clock in the winter, and it's always dark when you're setting up, and it's just tough to bank the house and see what you're doing. So I ordered some LED light strips. Now these are what they call an awning light. They're 20 feet long, and they are just a white light. So you can get these that are that like can color strobe, and you can pick the color, and I didn't want none of that. That's too fancy for me. I'm just looking for white light, just so I can simply see what in the world I'm trying to do when we're banking the house, changing a propane tank, or what have you. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get it all done today. It will be all done in this video, so don't worry about that. But I'm just going to be installing the what I call the front, the door side, and then the opposite side, the full 20-foot lengths. I didn't get the third roll. I only got 2 rolls in from the old Amazon is where I got these. But we're going to go ahead and get those put in today. It's a beautiful day. It's 50 degrees in mid-November. It's absolutely crazy. Not great for ice fishing, but great for doing outdoor projects. And so, yeah, we're going to go ahead, clean it up, get these put on. Hopefully in a couple days, I get the ones to do the peak, the actual V part, and then we'll take you guys along step by step, show you how I'm doing it, how I'm going to wire it in, trying to make this look as nice and as seamless as possible. And we'll go from there. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, now the way these work, I'll try to get it to focus here. These just have here's kind of a better look. They just come in a roll. Again, this is 20 feet. And they do have another pigtail where you can keep daisy chaining them together. But they just have 3M adhesive on the back side. And what my plan is up underneath here, kind of taking the end so you can see, there's like this gutter or this channel here. And I'm hoping to simply stick it right to that right there all along from the front. I'm going to have to leave a little bit of gap, but from the front all the way, or the back, I should say, all the way to the front of the house, there's that kind of that channel or that spot to put it. Now I'm hoping just the 3M adhesive is enough to hold them well. They did come with these little plastic brackets, but them you have to screw up into something. They've got just a little hole and a little screw. And I don't really want to screw into it, so we'll see. Maybe I'll put one front, back, and middle. Obviously I don't want these blown off going down the highway either, but the first thing I'm going to do is just use brake cleaner to clean it off. It doesn't leave any kind of film or residue or anything. So I'm going to use that to clean that surface where this is going to get stuck onto, and we'll start sticking it on, and I'll let you guys know if it works or what I think. And I'll also leave a link to this in the description box down below. That way, if you guys want to purchase this, if we like it, and it's something you guys want to add to either your fish house or your camper or heck, even anywhere. This is 12 volts. It does need to run off of a battery. But yeah, you guys can pick it up. So let's get to cleaning that channel and we'll see how this works. All right, so we've got that cleaned up real well. I think I'm gonna have enough flex with that awning track to get the LED strip in between that and the bracket. The other thing I noticed is the awning track here has a really nice spot to put this, but the peak and in the back, what I call the back of the house compared to the door side, there's just the gutter. So I think it'll still work. I think it's gonna stick on there fine, but there's just not quite as much room. So let's go ahead and grab that roll. Now the roll is 20 feet and this fish house is 21 feet from the back to the flat, you know, not including the peak or the V. So I'm gonna have to leave it, you know, about, in theory, 6 inches, but I don't know if that's exactly 20 feet. So I'm gonna try to kind of pull it out without sticking it on and hold it up and make sure I get it even. So let's go ahead and see if we can do that. And it'd help to have a helping hand, but it's just me. So Okay, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to peel one end of this adhesive back just a little bit, like a ½ inch, and just stick it on here, leaving, I'm just going to guess about 6 inches in, and then try to kind of just unroll this, maybe go over the top of the awning. Maybe we'll try to put it in there. We'll have to see, but try to get an idea if this looks like it's going to work before I start sticking it all on. So let's go ahead and give that a try. Plus we'll get an idea of how well this adhesive is actually going to stick. So usually 3M stuff is pretty good. And these rolls weren't really cheap. You can go a lot cheaper with LED lights, but these were $27 a roll. So, you know, that's not really expensive, but it's not the cheapest thing in the world either. So hopefully it's pretty good stuff. So let's see, we're just gonna go about center with this light. We're gonna leave about 6 inches. I'm gonna stick it right there. So first thing is, I hope I don't have to peel that off, because that is stuck on there. Yeah, I think that's gonna work out great. So let's go ahead, we'll pull this down the rest of the way and try to eyeball and see if we think this is gonna do what we need it to do or not. But so far, I think it's gonna work out. We'll just see what the length ends up like. Okay, so it looks like we're gonna end up a little bit shorter on the front than we are on the back. So I think I'm gonna try to unstick that, which I hate to do, but I think I'm gonna do it anyway, and try to move it up just a little bit, and then we're gonna start working our way down and stick it on there. I hate peeling this back off, but that's why I stuck on just a tiny bit. I'd rather have more light toward the front anyway, so we're gonna come back about that far. And all I'm gonna do is peel this back and work it on. And press her on there real good, and we'll just work our way all the way down. Well, that was easy. I think that install of them lights took me all of, oh, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe? I do. All right, so now we're gonna flip around to the back side of the fish house here, or what I call the back, the opposite of the door that we just did. And we're gonna go ahead and install the same light strip on this side. Get this side done while it's nice and warm out. And then, like I said, it'll be like a blink of an eye for you guys, but it'll be a second for me, and then we'll do the peak. Or a blink of an eye from you, it'll be a couple days for me. Anyway, YouTube world. We'll go ahead and get this side stuck on. We'll do the peak quick, and then it's just going to be the same thing, and then I'll show you how I'm going to wire it. So let's go ahead and get this side done. All right, so we got her all cleaned up, and now we're going to go ahead and put on the second roll of the LED light strip here. Now I went ahead and measured from the back of the house up to where I started this strip on the other side, so we know exactly how far to go. And I'll tell you here, so get out your notebook, pen, and paper, so in case you do this yourself, you know how far to go. It's exactly that far. It is from the tip of my thumb to the tip of that finger there, that far from the back of the house to where we'll start this next strip. So let's go back there, stick her on, and we'll run her up the front here. Hopefully this side goes as easy as the other side did. Get off my tape measure here. All right, guys, well, we got that side done. Now, as soon as the UPS guy shows up with our switch and the rest of our wiring and our lights to do the front, we'll go ahead and get this project wrapped up, which for you guys is going to be right about now. All right, guys, it's been a few days. the weather turned on us. It's chilly out today and a little bit cloudy, but I finally got in all the rest of the stuff to finish up this light project here. Threw some wires on the ground there. So we're gonna go ahead, install the rest of the wiring up at the peak here. And yeah, then we'll go ahead and start wiring everything in and keep rocking and rolling. So the way I'm gonna do the peak is I am going to use half the roll for one side, half the roll for the other. And because it's has the leads coming out each end of the spool, I'm going to be able to cut this in half. So you can cut these every 3 lights. So if it runs too long, you can cut it back if you need to. But what I'm going to do is use one section for one half and one for the other half of the V. The reason I want to do that and not leave it all in one is I don't think this stuff will make that turn for the actual the V or the peak very well. I'm afraid it's going to kind of kink and want to bend over on itself. So I'm going to just go ahead and run half here and then cut it, and then we'll run the other half up the other side, and then we'll get to wiring it all together. All right, so just like on the front and the back, first thing we're going to do is just go ahead and clean it up. Get any junk off of it here so it sticks. Now I will say I wish it was a little bit warmer out. It's a little chilly out today, so I'm a little worried that 3M tape isn't going to stick very well, but that's just kind of what we've got to work with. So what I might do is put a little dab of silicone on the ends of all the light strips just to kind of keep it. I feel like if it starts to peel, it'll probably start on an end from air and, you know, wind going down the road blowing against it and rain and snow and whatever. So I think I might do that, put dabs of silicone on the end, but for now, we're just gonna go ahead and stick it on there. So there's one side cleaned up, and we'll start on that corner because that's where our wires come up. We'll just stick her on and see where we end up. So go ahead and start right at this corner here. Could also take a heat gun, I guess, and warm this up a little bit after it's stuck on to kind of help it, but it seems like it's sticking on there pretty good. What would you guys do with holding it on there? Would you just trust the adhesive, or would you do something else? I'm going to be sharing this out to the Ice Castle Owner Group Facebook page as well. If some of you guys have done this, drop a comment, let me know what you have done, or if you've done just the adhesive and have an issue, because this video will be going live before I use it, especially with the fall we're having here. There ain't no ice starting on the lakes yet, so I'll get a chance to see the comments and then do something different if you think I should. So let's see, we're almost out to the end here, so we've got to find our, perfect. And we're going to cut it back to right here. Seems weird just cutting this, doesn't it? But that's what you do, I guess. And yeah, like I said, I think I will put dabs of silicone on the end of each one, just to help from driving rain getting underneath it. But that turned out awesome. We'll go ahead and do the other side quick, and I'll get back with you guys when we actually start wiring it up. All right, so the next thing we got to do, I got both my light strips, or all the light strips are installed. Now we have to wire these together. So what I'm going to use for that is, if you guys have watched my other videos, I'm just going to use these pink butt splice connectors. These are the shrink ones that have the glue that seals them all up nice. And then I bought a roll. It came with some wiring, but it's the really, really tiny stuff that came with the light strips. I went ahead and bought paired 16 gauge. A little heavier gauge, not needed for this, but I figured a little bit heavier duty wouldn't hurt, especially for later. We got to make some longer runs. So all I'm going to go ahead and do is connect these up. I wish they were a little closer. We could just connect them together, but unfortunately we're going to have to put a little piece of wire in. So I'm going to go ahead and just trim this a little shorter, get some fresh wires, and put butt splices on each end, and we'll connect them all together here. You want to be careful when you strip these wires because the wires inside are really, really tiny. If you're not careful, you'll just keep cutting it. Like that. Now, LED lights are polarity sensitive, so if you hook your negative to your positive and your positive to the negative, they definitely are not going to work out for you, so there's something to kind of know. We'll go ahead and put a couple of our heat shrink splices on here, and I'll go ahead and link all this stuff I'm using down in the description below. It's not an Amazon affiliate link. I get absolutely nothing out of it if you click on it, but might make it a little easier for you guys if you want to make sure you're getting the exact stuff you're seeing used here. That way you know you're ordering exactly what you see in the video. That is if this turns out good and these are nice and bright. We'll see. I'm sure I'm hoping it does. I've got high expectations. Okay, I'm gonna do the same to here. The reason I'm trimming these is these come with a soldered, I don't know where you can see it, but they come with a soldered end, two of them, and I don't like crimping onto that solder. It just doesn't seem to be as good, and it can add resistance, so I like clipping that off. The hard part is making this look nice. I mean, obviously you're going to see the light strips, you're going to see the you know, the connectors. I thought about running this in black loom, but these wires are so small that I didn't want to make it, you know, bulk it up with more junk. So we're just going to leave it like this. All right, so now we'll go ahead and hook one end of our spool of wire into one side. Take a knife to start this here. Again, hooking our red to red and black to black. Throw them on the ground quick just because. All right, so now the next thing is going to be to get our length here. So I want to leave where there's a little bit of slack, so they're not super tight, but I want to not have it just hanging here either, obviously. So I think we're going to go ahead and snip it right about there. Okay, let's see if that looks like that's going to work. It should. You can get individually stranded wire. It doesn't have to be paired, but it just makes everything look nicer when you don't got extra, you know, wires just twisting all over the place. Black to black. Making sure it's pushed in there all the way. And we'll hook up our red. All right, there, that's all hooked up nice. Now we're just gonna use our little torch here and we'll shrink these down until the glue comes out. Except our little torch don't want to light. Don't want to burn our wires too bad here. Again, these guys, you'll see the glue kind of come out of the end, and you'll know they're shrunk down all the way or whatever. All right, and that's good there. A little bar on the back side here, I guess. All right, I'm gonna do from here is I'm gonna use these little white like clips. They've got that same 3M on the back, and they're just a little wire clip. I'm gonna clip these on and just stick them up underneath here to hold the wires up. Excuse me. I think we'll put probably 2 of them on here and we'll just call that good. Let's go ahead and we'll clip them onto the wire like that. That's actually nice and snug. We'll clip one here and one there. I think I'll put the other one on first. Kind of nice, they're white, they blend in with the gutter. I guess that's about as nice as you can ask for, right? Oh, we got Ricky driving by. Ricky Racer. Put that one there. I'm gonna stick this next one up here. Not right there. There. That don't look too horrible. You know, this we could probably tuck in there, but I don't want to pinch it, so I think we'll just leave that good. All right, so now the next step is going to be hook some of this paired wire here up to the light strip that runs down the back side of the house. Hook it into right here, and then I think I was going to just run the wiring like inside the gutter, but I don't think I'm going to do that because I don't want it to plug up that gutter in the summertime when the roof is melting off. And I also just, then it'll get full of ice, and I just don't want to do that. So I think to start, I'm going to just stick it up underneath here with them same little white clips all the way down the back side. And we'll try that and see if that works. If it doesn't, I can always just kind of flip the wire up into the gutter, but I'm hoping them little white tabs work good. And we'll just go all down the back side, and we'll have our wire come out on the front corner, because we're going to end up running the wiring into the house by that solar panel is what my plan is. So we'll go ahead and get this side wired up and get that done. All right, so here's the part that I don't really have the perfect plan. So we've got this wire here is the one you just saw me run from the back side. And then these wires right here are obviously the ones that run the front side. And where I'm going to end up getting the wiring into the house is where the wires come through for the solar panel. Now, I didn't install this solar panel, so I have no idea what it looks like behind here. But my hope is to be able to kind of remove the solar panel or pull it back enough to feed our wires into the house. I think I'm going to come down with both the wires behind the panel, connect these 2 sets of wires into one lead, and then from there we'll use that to run into the house and continue on from there. So I think the next step is to try to remove this solar panel. However, I don't want to completely disconnect the wiring from in the house because it's all wired in. So I'm going to try to just zip these screws and kind of pull it back and hope that we don't wreck things. So I'm going to go grab my drill and we'll pull the screws out of the brackets and we'll see what happens there. Hopefully I don't wreck stuff. All right, so I think what I'm going to try to do is just, there's 4 bolts or 4 screws that hold this panel on. I'm going to try just take out the 2 on this side and see if I can just pull it away from the house enough to sneak my wires in without removing it. I'm also curious, I'm hoping I can see the tag in here because I have no idea what wattage solar panel this is. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what watt panel this is. So let's see how this works out for me. Kind of scary. Ooh, seems like it's on here okay. All right, there's our plug. I'll get you guys a closer look here. All right, so we're able to pull it away. Here's our wiring for a panel, and it's just going into this rubber grommet. So I'm hoping I can feed the wires in through here and not have to drill another hole. You can see the tag there. What's that say? 100 watt. So it looks like this is a 100 watt solar panel, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, so let's see if we can't get our wires fed. Again, I'm just wanting to use this same hole. See if it comes out inside here. Whew. We got it. Well, that took way longer than it should have, but we got it. So now all we got to do is hook all these wires together back behind here, tie it up real nice, and then we can hop on inside and we'll start wiring inside. And I think that might be the tricky part. So we'll go ahead, tie this up real nice and get it going. So all I'm going to do is, well, first we'll start by running one wire down and cut this plenty long, wherever that side cutter went. So let's go ahead and cut this off right here. I'm probably going to have to run blue connectors on here because we're going to end up splicing both sets of lights into this one strand. So I'm going to go grab blue butt connectors, which is one size up from the pink. All right, so the next thing in this wiring process is we're just going to take these 2 sets of leads. One of these runs for the front lights and one runs for the back lights. And we're simply just going to connect the 2 together, and then that'll tie into one going into the house. And we're just going to be using these blue butt connectors. They're the same as the pink, they're just a little different size, they're a little bigger, so we'll be able to fit both these leads into them. So we'll go ahead and just get these separated here. Again, these LEDs don't draw hardly any power. This is way more or heavier gauge wire than we would need to run for this, but or than the factory even runs on the lights, but it's better to have a little more than a little less. So go ahead and hook these together. We'll strip a little bit back. You want to give a little bit more when you're putting them together like this. Just gives you a little more room to twist them. All right, so then what you want to do is take the wire ends, kind of fray them apart a little bit, interlock them best you can, then just twist them together. Again, black to black. Taking your connector and putting it on there. And we'll do the same with the red one here. Now, if you didn't have a solar panel and already had a hole running in for kind of exterior wiring like this, if I didn't have this panel, I think what I would have tried to do is run it in through this rear marker light that's back here for the trailer light, this rear trailer light. It actually probably would create a nicer look because you could hide the wiring a little bit better. And you can see when we go inside that they didn't run the wiring for the solar panel through the wall. They just ran it right inside the house, and you can see it in the corner. It's not ideal. It doesn't bother me too bad. I wish it was hidden a little bit better. But there's already a big hole bored in there, and it just kind of is what it is at this point. So I'm going to utilize that. But again, if you guys are doing this and are looking to get the wiring inside, I think I would try to run it into that marker light and then fish it down the wall into your battery box area if you have the same setup I do. Just be for a cleaner look, but this is the way I'm doing it for today. So go ahead and hook. Now this lead here, if you can see this lead is the one that we ran from the house. So this will supply our power out of the hole and into our lights. Making sure we do our black to black. Whatever you guys do, don't use wire nuts. Don't use like interior household wire nuts to do this. All it's going to do is corrode, pull apart, and give you headaches, and it's just not not worth it. Don't do that. Okay. Shrink them down real nice. Wherever my little torch went. Wish this thing would work. Shrink them down. Again, this makes a nice watertight seal, so no moisture is going to get in and corrode these or anything like that. This should work perfect for forever, really. Many, many years to come. So there we go. We'll just kind of tuck that behind there. We've got it tied up here nice. And all we should have to do is screw back down to the house. Oh. And the exterior part of this is done. Making sure we don't pinch our wires up here. There we go. I think that turned out looking pretty good. All right, guys, as you can see, we're inside the fish house here, and first thing I'm going to do is get this table out of the way. I don't know about you, but if any of you guys have an ice castle, I love the table. I hate moving it. Getting it out to turn into a bed. If only there was a company that did something better for this. Future video coming soon. This is hopefully the last time I'm fighting with this table. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, follow along. It's a company I bet a lot of you ice castle owners have heard of. And we're going to be doing a full in-depth install and review of one of the popular table lift systems. And I'm going to give you for one, how much it sucks to install. I think it should be pretty easy, and for two, if it's awesome or if I would not really recommend it. So we'll see. Stay tuned for that. But for today, we'll just get this thing out of the way so we can go ahead and finish up our wiring here. All right, so here's what we're working with. So this wire here is the wire that now will connect all our LEDs outside that we just put in. And I've just got it coming through. You can see here now where the wiring for that solar panel runs into this corner. It just runs into here, runs down in behind this back seat. They've got a couple holes drilled that's got it running down. And it runs into our charge controller here that then, of course, runs to the battery. So what I'm going to do is start by running our wire for our lights, LED lights, down the same looming. We're going to run it down into here. And from there, we will continue to wire it in where it needs to go. So first step in this process, they decided to drill two tiny little holes here for the wires to go in. So I think I'm just going to go ahead, drill a third hole right next to it, and we will run our wires down there. So be right back with you. I'm gonna go grab my drill and an appropriately sized drill bit. We're gonna go ahead and drill right down through there and get at least our wires pulled down into the battery compartment where we can go from there. Alright, so we're going to start off real easy down here, and we're just going to start by hooking up the negative side or the black wire of our paired wire here. We're going to go ahead and strip this all the way back, and we're going to hook the black one up to the negative. So that'll be the really easy part, and then our half the wiring is done, I guess you'd say. The negative part is hooked up. So go ahead and we'll strip all this down because we don't need them to be paired together anymore. Pull it all the way back to there. Leave plenty of length here on our black wire, and we'll go ahead and cut that. And we're just going to put in a ring terminal. This is a yellow. This really shouldn't be a yellow, but it's the only size I have. The yellow, again, is just the diameter wire it'll take. It didn't have to be a yellow. A blue or a pink would be better, but it's the only size I have that has the correct ring terminal to go onto the battery, so that's what we're going to go ahead and use here. We'll strip our wire back and put that on, and these heat shrink down too, just like the ones outside, so we'll go ahead and do that. And we'll hook that up to the negative side of our battery. Alright, so this would be really easy if I'd go ahead. If you guys caught the other video I did of installing this battery shutoff switch, this would be really easy if I just went and hooked up our new switch, like right next to the battery shutoff switch down here. It would be way easier. But that's not the way I'm going to do it because that just doesn't seem right. So I'm going to go ahead and try to cut it in up here by our other switches. So these two switches, one is for the outside little light we have now. That's borderline worthless. And then the other one is for most of the lights that are inside the fish house here. And I think I want to cut in our new switch right about here. Let me grab the new switch for you and I'll show you what I'm thinking. Alright, so here's our new switch, and this is where I'd like to put it because it kind of matches the awning switch. And it's nice and close to the door because this is something that we're going to be just reaching in the door, flicking that switch on when we first get somewhere to set up. And so this is where I want to put it. Now the hard part is going to be trying to get a wire to run from there down and into this wire, into this, our battery area to go ahead and hook it up, up to our battery shutoff switch. So that's going to be the hard part. It's kind of a risk, but I think the first step is to actually go ahead and cut the hole for this new switch to go. Now, of course, it's not just a nice round hole. It's a square-shaped, recessed in, and I got to try to get it the height-wise to match this. So I'll set you guys up, and we'll see what we can do here. All right, so the first thing we got to figure out is where our studs are at. So we've got a stud that runs right here. So we obviously can't run our wiring on this side by the window. And we've got one along the wall. So I think that should work out inside this cabinet. The wire's going to have to run at a little bit of an angle, but I think that should be okay. So we're going to have to figure out how big of a hole we need to cut out for this. And it looks like it's bigger than this is. So let's see here. I think if and we want this to kind of match. I wish it came with like a template or something like that to trace, but of course it doesn't. So I got to try to figure out how big I know to cut this hole. I guess it doesn't have to be perfect. It just can't be too wide, right? So maybe I'll just start by tracing this, and then we'll go just a little bit bigger, and that'll get us an idea. So click out our pen. We're going to decide that is where we want this. right about there. It just has to be quite a bit bigger. So I should probably get a way to measure that, and we can actually trace it out exact. And then I got a new cool tool today we're going to use to try to cut that out. So let me grab a measuring device so we know how big of a hole to make that. All right, so I went ahead and went in the garage and grabbed my caliper here. So we need to cut a hole. That is, let's see here. Well, it measures about 2.5 inches. We're just going to use this as our guide. So we'll just mark it here. I'll mark it at the bottom of the jaws. Oh, down here. And then, or tall, I should say, that's how tall it needs to be. Then we'll go ahead and measure the width. Just over 1 inch it looks like, but again, I don't really care that much about that. We're just going to kind of go like this. Okay, so that's how big our hole needs to be. Through some very steady artwork, we'll finish out our square. Okay, so that's the hole we're going to cut out. And that should pretty much set our switch pretty well perfect with our awning switch that's already in there. So now for the cool new tool. Now obviously I should probably pull a switch out and look, maybe stick my hand in there and see if it looks like we're going to crash into any wiring before we start trying to saw that out of there. So we'll just grab the old Leatherman here quick because I didn't grab a screwdriver. We'll just pull this switch out. We'll probably need some of these out anyway. It might really help fishing them wires through. Oh, they cut a big old hole. That might actually really do us some favors. Yeah, all the wiring goes down. Yeah, we should be fine. All the wiring runs down. So we should be good that way. So yeah, let's go ahead and try to cut that. Now the cool new tool I bought is one of these little, I call them a buzzer saw. So we got to try to find the appropriate blade here. Let's see. Ideally a rounded blade, but I don't think I have a really rounded type blade here. They're all pretty straight across. Guess that is the right width. Let's see if there's a narrower one maybe. Oh, what does this say this is for? Hardwood, curve cut, or pro curve. Yeah, this is probably what we need to use, huh? I don't know, I just got this thing today. I played with it in the garage cutting some random stuff, but I haven't used it on a project yet. So why not try it right inside the nice fish house, right? Good time to give her a whirl here. Let's see. Okay. Well, here goes nothing. This is the M18 fuel one. I have all M18 stuff, so that's why I chose to buy this one. So let's see here. We'll start with an up and down cut. Well, that went well. We'll do the other side. Whoa. Okay, now we'll try to do the top, but I'm not going to be able just to drop it in. I'm going to have to try to go like this. I don't think this is a good idea, though. think we done did her. This thing is sweet. I don't know how in the world I would have done that without this tool. Let's see how it fits. A little tight. The width is good. That's a little tight. We just gotta, I think we just gotta shave that a little bit. Now let's see. Like a glove. Huh. That thing is awesome. That tool is sweet. If you ever thought about buying one, buy one. Okay. So now, for the hard part. We got to try to run a wire from here down there. So we're definitely going to have to drill a hole down there too. Let's see what we can do. All right, so what we're going to have to do is there's a stud that runs right here. And we obviously can't be on this side of that stud. We have to, and these are the wires that run to our battery shutoff switch, but we need to be on this side of that stud. So what I think we need to do is cut a hole here, and then we'll try to fish our wire down through there. And I think what I might do, because it shouldn't matter if there's a square hole cut down here, we're gonna have to plug it with something maybe, or maybe not, but I might just take that little buzzer saw and go ahead and just notch out right here. And then we'll try to fish our wire straight down. I don't want to have to cut too big of a hole, obviously, so we're just going to try to cut a little square hole, and we'll see if that works. That's the only way I know of to get a wire in here. The only other wires that run into here run way over in that corner, and there's no way to get a wire from there over there without, you know, the whole siding of this thing being off like they did at the factory. So I really think this is about the only option I've got. And again, it's in this back battery compartment where you don't see it anyway. So let's go ahead and cut a hole. All right, so now this might go really easy, or this might take like hours. But I'm going to take this guy here. I call it a fish tape, but all it is it's like a metal, basically wire, flat wire, I guess you'd say, that goes in a coil. I use it all the time for rigging boats, pulling wires through boats. But what we're going to do today is try to feed this all the way down and have it poke out that hole down there. So I don't know how well this is going to go, but we're going to try. Pull out a whole bunch of wire here. This is going to be the tricky part, but we'll see. I hope it works. Move this guy out of the way a little bit. So the problem is, of course, you've got your insulation backing, but I'm hoping if I can use this finger and kind of hold it against the wood, the siding here, we'll just make our way down there without too many hang-ups, although I think we made it about an inch and I'm already hitting something. Huh, that's not a good start. Oh, I got it. I feel it. We got it. Holy buckets. We gotta be real careful. I gotta pull it back up a little bit to get it through the hole. Oh, it's so close. We got her. Holy buckets. Woo! You don't get that lucky every day. Look at that. We got her. That wasn't so bad. All right. Now all we gotta do is pull our wires through and we're just about done. I'm gonna run in the shop quick and grab some red wire because there's no sense on running paired wire all the way through here. And we're just about done. That's awesome. All right, we went ahead and I got a roll of, this is just 16 gauge plain red wire. If all you have is your paired wire, you could still use that. But I've got this, so I'm gonna go ahead and use it. So we need to run 2 red leads going up to here. One of them is gonna be our positive. Well, they're both positive, but one's gonna be our lead that feeds the switch power, and the other one's gonna be the one that goes to our lights. And so again, you want to make sure you don't, because we have to cut a section here, leave yourself plenty of wire. Because the last thing you want to have to do is try to get lucky twice and feed another line through there. So we're just going to go ahead and go like that. And the rest I'm just going to leave onto the spool. And from there, we're just going to go ahead and electrical tape them onto our wire that we have ran through. So when we pull the wire out, it'll pull our wires, our positive wires, up through the hole. So we'll just grab some electrical tape here. Go ahead and just tape that onto there. Just like this. And you want to make sure you tape the ends of the wire, your electrical wire, because if you don't, it'll want to hook everything as you're pulling it back up, and that'll really fight you. Okay. Did that. Now we'll go ahead and just pull this out, and that'll end up feeding everything right up our electrical wires up through this hole. In theory. There we go. So here we've just got our some flat spade connectors. They're just a female spade connector. Make sure these hook up nice to the back of our switch. And yeah, it looks like they're the right size. They'll plug right into there, no problem. Now the right thing to do, if you look at your switch, is you've got one end, where is it? One terminal that's more in the center, which is this guy here, and then one that's off to the side, and that's going to be that's supposed to be your load, or the wire that would go to our lights. So you want to put your positive power in to that side. Now I'll be honest, it'll work either way. This is just a simple on-off switch. So that's not a huge deal, but if you want to do it right, that's the right way to do it. Crimp that guy onto there. And we'll crimp this guy onto here. And then we'll find out which one of these two is our main power, which is going to be this one. I can tell by just pulling on it, it's the lead that we trimmed. That's cut, and that one will end up hooking up to our battery shutoff switch. So again, we want to hook that to the middle, or the middle terminal here, the centered one, I should say. And then we'll hook our load out. Now what you want to do is when you turn the switch on and this goes up, it actually then is when it transfers power to the bottom tab. So you want to make sure that offset one is down. That way when you turn your switch on, it'll actually be on and turn lights on. If you put it in the wrong way, when it's what would it commonly be in the off position is when your lights will be on. So you just want to make sure that's how you hook that in there. So we'll go ahead and hook up our wires accordingly. Kind of feed them back in. Leaving enough slack to where I have to pull it out. We don't unplug things. But I'll grab some tiny little screws and we'll screw that guy into place. All right, perfect. Now we'll go ahead and snap our little cover on over it. I think. There we go. That is awesome. Okay, the only thing we got to do now is hook up our wiring down below here. Okay, so we'll get this stuff out of here. So now we're going to take the wire that's still hooked up to the spool. We know this runs to our load side of the switch, and this will end up going to our LEDs, which is this red wire that we peeled off the pair from the black one. This runs to the power side of all our LEDs. We're going to run it across, and we'll end up zip tying this in really nice to our other wiring loom so it's not hanging here. So for right now, we'll just kind of pull it across and go ahead and connect it right into our spool, because again, that's the load side. So we'll just connect it in right here with one of those pink splice connectors. So right here, just like we've been doing. Just hang in there with me, guys. We're just about done here, and then we'll wait for it to get dark. And we'll do the big reveal here. I'm not even going to turn them on myself until it gets dark, because I want the big reveal. We'll see. I'm hoping these are as bright as I'm hoping they're going to be. So all we got to do is hook this to the load side of our battery shutoff switch here. So I don't want to hook it to the side that always has power, because in theory you could forget and leave these lights turned on outside. I don't know how you'd forget. They're pretty darn bright, but you could. So we want to make sure we hook it to the load side of the switch. We'll go ahead and shrink this connector down here. Careful not to start the fish house on fire. Okay. So now I'll be honest, I'm not sure which one of these two is the load, and I've got it all tied in nice. I'm thinking it's going to be the fuse side, or I'm sure it's the fuse side, but we'll just grab our multimeter here and find out with the battery switch turned off which post has power. So we'll just go to the negative side of our battery. Whichever side has power, which is this one should not. So we're going to want to hook it to this post right there. And that's our load side. All right, so I ended up having to run to town to get more wire connectors, and it's starting to get dark out, which is perfect because that means we can give this fancy new lights a test here. So let's go ahead and get this hooked up. Perfect, that's the right size we need. Go ahead and get it all hooked up nice here. Once it gets dark, we'll flip the switch and see how awesome these lights are or are not. Didn't plan to have to drive to town, but of course I was out of the right size ring terminals. Go ahead and shrink this guy down here. Okay. Did go ahead and get the right size socket for this. Versus trying to use the crescent wrench. All right, well, as you can see, it's nighttime, so there's a little bit of light shining on the fish house right now, and that's just from a yard light, so it's not quite as dark out as it will be, obviously, out on the lake where there's no yard light. But let's go ahead and flip the switch, and we'll see how bright these lights really are. That is awesome. Wow, them are bright. That's going to be perfect. You can really see how bright they are around the backside where the yard light's not hitting, but I tell you what, I could not be happier. That is going to make setting up at night in the dark so much easier, and just seeing outside in general. For safety, if you're trying to alert somebody where you're at, you can click them on and they'll be able to see you way better than that borderline worthless little yard light we had before. So that is sweet. I could not be happier with that. Once again, guys, if you're interested, I'll leave the links for everything down in the description box below. Go ahead if you want to know exactly what lights I purchased and went with. Right now, I couldn't be happier. Obviously, I don't know the test of time. We'll see after a season or two how they hold up. But right now, they are pretty sweet. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope maybe that'll help you out with your lighting issues on your fish house if you want a little more light for setting up in the dark or at night or whatever. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And until next time, you guys have a good one.